Hey everyone, welcome back. My name's dustinkreis, and today we are going to do a game discussion, and we're going to talk about this game right here, Demon Gaze, for the PlayStation Vita, brought to us by Experience Inc. and NIS America. And this is a first-person dungeon crawler, and it's a genre that I've been getting slowly more and more into. Really, I love the Etrian Odyssey series. I'm starting to get into some of the Shin Megami Tensei games, but it's a genre that I want to get into more. But as I sort of branch out from the games that got me into the genre, namely the Etrian Odyssey games, I'm finding that some of the other first-person dungeon crawlers out there, I'm just not that crazy about. Class of Heroes 1 and 2, I want to get back to those, but just not that crazy about them. And Demon Gaze kind of falls into that category as well. For a very long time, I was really enjoying this game, and then it just got to the point where I was just getting frustrated, and I just wanted it to kind of end. And full disclosure, I haven't even beat this game yet. I'm kind of stuck on a boss, the Ether Mirage. And talking to a bunch of people and using the certain skills that they tell me to do, for some reason people are saying that I should be doing a lot more damage than what I'm doing at my current level, which is I think I'm at like 35 or 36, and I just can't overcome this enemy's healing abilities. I just can't deal enough damage to really kind of negate it. And using skills that people tell me to use, like what is it, crossfix? Whenever I try to use crossfix, it just never works. So I don't know if I'm actually going to be beating this game or not. It kind of reminds me of a video that TV and Lust did probably about a year ago, where he talks about how he doesn't really care about finishing his games. He just kind of wants to get his enjoyment out of them, and if he doesn't finish them, so be it. And I don't know, Demon Gaze is probably going to be one of those ones that I don't know if I'll ever finish it. And that kind of sucks. But I'm kind of at the point right now where I'm ready to move on from this game. I just cannot beat this boss for the life of me. And I don't want to sit here and grind. I really just, I don't want to do it. I kind of want to move on to something new. So I'm going to put it kind of on the back burner and just kind of grind here and there. And, you know, eventually I'll finish it. But I don't really see how finishing the game would change my opinion of it. I've kind of already, you know, formulated my opinion on it. The storyline is pretty good. It keeps you going, but it's not like it's the best story in RPGs out there. So seeing the end of the story will be neat, but at the same time, it's not really compelling me to finish the game, especially in light of this boss that I just can't beat. And I've tried several times, and I don't know, I just can't do it. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the game, because there's a lot to like here. There really is, aside for some frustrations. The storyline, it's a NIS America game, so it kind of has that pervy sense to it. There are going to be some fanboy scenes in this game. I remember very vividly playing this at work one day, and a scene with a certain character pops up, and she's wearing almost next to nothing, and I quickly turned my chair so no one could see my Vita screen, because that would have been a fun thing to try to explain away. I wasn't really expecting that aspect to the game, and when it kind of came in, it was a little surprising for me. That's just my fault for not reading ahead. But yeah, the characters are all likable. Some of them are kind of. There's one character that's kind of a douchebag. He's an elf who runs the item shop, and he's just a complete douchebag. And then there's another character who runs a bath in this inn, and he's kind of worthless. But you know, the main character of the Gazer is kind of a silent protagonist with everybody else. And Fran, who you see right here in the back, you kind of see her in the background there. She runs this inn. I really like the interplay between those two characters. There's kind of a romance plot that comes out of nowhere. But yeah, it's, you know, playing some first-person dungeon crawlers, especially like Etrian Odyssey 4, you kind of get used to there not being a huge story. I remember when I played Unchained Blades, and that had a really good story. I actually really enjoyed the characters in Unchained Blades. But as far as the storyline goes, it's there. You know, it's not going to set your world on fire. It's kind of fun to see the characters interact, and there is some humor in the game that makes it worthwhile. But these types of games, you don't really play them for the storyline. You really play them to explore these dungeons and grind and get gear and things like that. And that's really where the game kind of shines. I love traversing these dungeons. I love finding the hidden doors. There's a lot of different systems in this game, namely the demon system itself, which your character can collect demon keys of 10 different demons and use them in battle. They also have out-of-battle effects, like one helps your characters find hidden doors and stuff. One raises your attack power, and you can summon these demons in battle to help fight with you. And there's one in particular, the Mars demon, who it's a great thing to have because she just decimates. She really just decimates everything that she comes in contact with. But the problem is you kind of become over-reliant on Mars. And when you get to a battle that she's not really that effective, you're kind of left scrambling to find a different strategy. And that's kind of where I'm coming to my problems with this final boss, is everything I'm reading says I should be doing certain things to my Gazer, which I do, and then summon Mars, and Mars should just come in and completely decimate this enemy, and she just doesn't. And I don't know what exactly I'm doing wrong, because she's just not dealing out the damage that all the guides and all the forums say that she should be dealing at this time. So you kind of have to work another strategy around, but you're so used to just overusing Mars that, like, I was talking to TG Apuleius about this. He didn't even realize how important buffs and debuffs were in this game until he got to, like, this area of the game, and then, like, he just couldn't rely on Mars anymore, and it's like, oh, I actually have to do other things. So it kind of leads you in this false direction where you feel like you'll be battling enemies in these dungeons and you'll feel pretty confident, and then you go to a boss battle and just get completely wiped out. And conversely, it's got kind of a weird balance issue in a way, because there's some bosses that I just went through and just smacked them down in a few turns, and then as I was walking out, I just got into a random battle, and just these random monsters wiped me out. It's weird how the combat, in a lot of ways, feels very luck-based. And I don't know what that is, because even using the combination of, like, the paladin and the healer, they have a little combo between devotion and holy armor, or is that right? Holy armor? Yeah, I think it is. That, like, basically is supposed to make your team invulnerable. You know, devotion draws all the attacks to the paladin, which has very high defense anyway, and then the holy armor or holy shield. I'm sorry, holy shield on top of that. You know, buffs her up even more, so she really is only taking like 1 or 2 damage with every strike. But for some reason, it just, I don't know, there's some battles where the enemies are just like, you know what, I'm not going to follow those rules, I'm going to attack everybody else in your party and wipe you out. And it's a very strange thing, and it's very frustrating. And sometimes I had to put the game down because I was getting just so frustrated with, you know, having to revive my party members, because there's another system in this game where every time you return to the inn from one of the dungeons, you have to pay rent. And this is a really bad system in this game. It kind of just punishes you even further for dying. You have to pay rent, which, you know, when you get a team of 5, this could be upwards of like 2,000 gold. And in these games, gold is not easy to come by. But then you have to go in and revive your people. And it's just, you know, really expensive to die in these games, which I understand that's kind of the point of the first-person dungeon crawlers. It's always really punishing when you die. And the healing items are equally as expensive. So it's, you know, it is a punishing game. And I'm okay with that with these first-person dungeon crawlers. I'm okay with them being a bit difficult. But when the difficult just kind of, wobbles around like that, it's really weird, and you never really feel confident. Or at least I didn't, because it's like you get into a battle and you see this huge normal monster and you're like, oh god, that thing's going to kick my ass. You start doing your, usual, buffs and debuffs and attacks and summoning Mars and all that. And you get through it fine, and then you go to the next battle, and it's a bunch of these piddly little things, and you're like, okay, well, let's do it again. And then all of a sudden you're just like, they call in more monsters and you're wiped out. And it's just, sometimes it just gets a little much, but you just put it down, walk away from it a little bit, and then come back to it and you're fine. But, yeah, I mean, the weirdness of the enemy battles aside, I really did enjoy my time exploring the dungeons. It reminded me, the entire time I was playing this, I was having a good time, but I was like, man, I wish I was playing an Etrian Odyssey. Or Unchained Blades 2. Something like that. It's good. It's a good game, aside from its kind of weird difficulty spikes and valleys. But the entire time I was playing this, I just wanted to be playing a different first-person dungeon crawler. One that I actually kind of liked more. And that's weird when, you play a game and it makes you want to play another game that's like it, but better, It'd be like playing, I don't know, Secret of the Stars on the Super Nintendo, and you're just like, man, I'd much rather be playing Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy. It's like that. But that being said, I did have a good time with it. I just wish I could get past this boss. So if you guys have any hints or tips on getting past that Ether Mirage, because it just seems like that's the one that people get hung up on. And then I heard the final boss is even worse. And then that's not even the end of the game. There's all this post-game content, and TJ Appileus was talking to me about it, and honestly, it just sounds awful. Listening to him talk about this dungeon and the fact that you have to do it all in one run. If you leave the dungeon, all the bosses respawn. Fuck that. I'm not doing that. I'm not wasting my time with that. That sounds like I'd probably have a better time if I let my dog shit in my mouth. I would probably have a better time than doing that. So I really want to beat the story proper, and as far as post-game content goes, I usually don't even touch post-game content in RPGs. It doesn't appeal to me. It's just, oh, great, another dungeon. I kind of play RPGs for the storyline anyway, which some people might say is the wrong reason to play them, but that's how I do it. But anyway, yeah, fun game, but makes me wish for more. Graphically, this is on the Vita, so, it doesn't really push the Vita to its limits, but that being said, the sprite work in this is gorgeous. Beautiful HD sprites, character portraits, things like that. The dungeons look a bit ugly. They do kind of look, PSP-esque, but, first-person dungeon crawlers don't really push the systems graphically. That's not really the point. They're supposed to be kind of a throwback to old PC RPGs like Wizardry and things like that. And, if it did kind of push those limits, it would just seem weird in a way, because it's all grid-based and the movement on the tiles in the dungeons, so it would seem weird if it was really graphically amazing. But that being said, looking at it on that OLED screen, I always want to mess that up. It just looks gorgeous, and this game, I was playing this game so much. I know I was kind of ragging on this game a bit there, but I was playing this game so much, I actually had to go out and buy a Vita grip, because my hands were going numb, because I would just sit and play this game for hours. That's how much I enjoyed it, even though it does have its frustrations, and even though I really don't know if I'll see it to the end. But I don't want to make it sound like I hate this game. I really don't. I really had a good time with it. It's just, I do have frustrations with it. It's not the best example of the genre. For me, personally, if someone wanted to get into first-person dungeon crawlers, I would tell them to get Etrian Odyssey Millennium Girl, because it's a nice balance between the storytelling of a normal JRPG and the first-person dungeon crawling craziness that you would get in these games. This one, not so much. This is one that if you really like the genre, I would say pick up, because we don't really see much of these. They're starting to come out more and more over here, especially for the Vita. But as far as the music and the audio goes, the music is pretty good in places. It keeps you going, but it's nothing spectacular. The voice work is really good, but it's sort of done in that traditional anime style with high-pitched voices for some people. And if you watch some anime from the 90s, you kind of get an idea for the voice work. But yeah, Demon Gaze, I mean, I don't know where it's not going to be anywhere near the top of the list for my game of the year, but I did enjoy my time with it, and I really wish I could beat that boss. I mean, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to level up here and there whenever I just have some free time, or maybe I'll take it to work with me and just grind, on the weekends when there's not that much to do. But I got to that Ether Mirage, and I would just do turn after turn after turn and not even make a dent, because every 3 turns it regenerates 5,000 HP, and I'm just not dealing enough damage, and I can't figure out what I need to do to deal more damage, because I have really strong weapons and I do all the buffs and debuffs that the forums say. So the only thing I can think of is I'm just not leveled enough. But Arrows said he beat the game at some level in the 30s, and I'm 35 or 36 with my main character, and the others are kind of around there. So I feel like I should be able to beat this thing. But I remember him talking about fighting Lord Shark in there, and he was having a really hard time with that. And basically, if I remember correctly, he said something about it just being kind of just this one time things would work, and that's kind of how the battles in Demon Gaze go. There's this whole system in there of when you get new equipment, you go to these circles, and you can place gems down. You can place 3 of them down, like a sword gem, a spear gem, and a shield gem, and they will give you, when you beat all these monsters that they summon, you get a new sword, a new shield, and a new spear. And once you place these gems, it summons monsters for you to fight. And one time you can put the same gems down, the same 3 down, and one time it'll summon the most heinous army of monsters you've ever seen, and they will completely decimate you, and you have to go back to the last save point. So you go back to that point again, put the same 3 gems down, and literally it'll drop 1 Peedly monster for you to fight. It's such a weird system that it's just, sometimes it just feels like every battle you just have no idea what's going to happen, and it's just a weird feeling. Eventually in normal RPGs, you get to a point where what a monster is going to do, You know how many hit points it has and stuff like that. But in Demon Gaze, it just feels like all of a sudden the game just decides to, stick its finger in your soup and just say, you know what? I know you've fought these things a million times, but guess what? They're going to kill you this time. They're just going to kill you. There's nothing you can do about it. They're just going to kill you. And that's kind of weird. So, I don't know. I know that there's a lot of people out there that probably really enjoy this game, and I did too. I really enjoyed my time with it. I just, you get to that final boss, and it's not even the final boss, but I don't know how much grinding I need to do in this game, but it's going to go on the back burner, and I'm just going to touch it every now and then, and I'm going to move on to something else, which I already have, and that's not going much better. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Demon Gaze. An interesting little JRPG. Definitely, if you're into dungeon crawlers, when this gets cheap, if it gets cheap, definitely look into picking it up, because there's a lot to like here, but there's also a lot of frustrations, and the game is really, it doesn't really explain things really well either. Apuleius and I were discussing how, he was discussing how he didn't really understand the attribute system, and of course the buffs, the importance of buffs and debuffs in this game, so it's kind of one of those games that just really doesn't explain itself very well. But maybe that's part of the first-person dungeon crawler thing. I remember playing the Dark Spire on the DS, which I really want to go back to now and play it again. And that game explains nothing. So, anyway, Demon Gaze, yeah, very interesting. I guess we'll see where it rolls out on the Game of the Year list, but it's not going to be anywhere very high. There's already a lot of really great games coming out this year. So, anyway, that's my thoughts on Demon Gaze. So, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time.